So I mentioned I wanted to go ahead and make a video detailing these grips, the new grips that I put on the gun. So I want to actually do a little bit of factual information for you as far as the actual sizing, because I believe that that's important. For those of you that are, either want to go bigger or smaller, I've gone ahead and basically tried the gamut of grips that are available on the market. The only ones that I haven't tried are the actual aluminum grips from Hogue. The reason being, aluminum is really cool because you can get it anodized and all kinds of like flashy, red colors and whatnot. But the biggest problem that you run into is the fact that that aluminum, when it gets wet, like when you sweat on it, man, it's slick. It doesn't matter what they put on it. They could literally put like stalactites on it, and you would still sweat. So I really don't like to slip on my grips. G10 is a much better material than plastic or aluminum. So I tend to stick to the G10 composites, but finding the appropriate size was the most important point for me. So let's start off. These are the Hogue G10s, the Extremes, the Piranha Grips that I've decided to go with. I chose green because that was the only prime color available, and I wanted them because I'm impatient. They really only come in 3 colors, which is basically tan, and this green, and also like a grayish / black. And honestly, I don't care. My hand covers it anyway, and it's about shooting. So the way that it looks really doesn't matter to me. It's all about functionality. So these particular grips, I chose them, ended up going with them for a few particular reasons. One of them being they offer the most texture. What I mean by that is that they offer texture basically from the top to the bottom. That's important because when you grip the pistol, your hands cover the entire side panel. The VZ grips, as you see, basically terminate the texture here. I have no idea why. I don't understand this. When I called VZ and asked them why they do this, the woman said, well, we do this on very expensive CNC machinery, and we can't. And I said, well, what do you mean you can't? I don't understand. You make 1911 grips that go all the way to the top. And she said, well, it's a lot of work to change around the CNC programs and the tooling. I understand it's a lot of work, but generally work means profit. So as an aside, I'm probably not going to be buying VZ grips anymore because I really didn't like that answer. If I was running a company and I had somebody that offered that answer to a customer, I'd be really upset because a customer is asking for something. The proper answer is, you know what, I'm going to send that up the board. I'm going to see what the guys say, no promises, but your opinion counts, and whether or not we can do it, I don't know. We may not be able to, but I'm going to at least let your voice be heard. Especially with a company like VZ, because it's not exactly, Microsoft, where 11 billion people in the universe use the products, and we're just an ant in a colony. VZ Grips is not a huge company. They should listen to their customers. So the VZ Grips didn't work for me. It's a well-made product. It's just not designed properly as far as I'm concerned. But their 1911 offerings are awesome. My opinion really doesn't matter all that much. If you want to buy them, rock on, because they do make really good stuff. So that aside, I chose the Hogues because they go all the way to the top. And also, extremely important for me, if you've watched any of my P09 videos, you'll know that the beaver tail area of the gun is vitally important to me. If this does not sit comfortably in my hand, it's an absolute no-go. When you grip the gun, it has to sit in the web of your hand properly, and if there's any kind of things sticking out or sharp edges there, every time the gun recoils, it's driving back into your hand. So where do you think all those edges are going? All of those edges are going directly into your knuckle, into the web of your hand, and basically beating you to death. So this particular grip goes all the way to the rear of the tang here, and it's also very nicely curved off. So Hogue really did their research when they made these grips, and they're designed very, very, very well. Also, towards the edges, the grips taper very nicely. So what ends up happening is the overall thickness is the same as OEM, but these edges are very nicely tapered, so your hand wraps around very well. So for example, if the edges weren't tapered, my fingers would rest here, which means I have less of a purchase on the gun. So because it's like this, I can really get a nice firm grip on the gun, work the double action, work the single action, as well as I need to. So I'm very pleased with these Hogues, and I really do enjoy them. So let's do a little bit of scientific measuring and all that kind of fun stuff, because some people like numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically go from, this is zeroed by the way, we're going to go from the back of the gun on the grip, and we're just going to measure the actual thickness, which comes out to 137-ish. It really depends upon where you measure and how you measure. It's 137 at the bottom. When you measure by the grip screws, I was actually getting 135, which works for me. That's fine for me. So no real big deal there. But that's the overall thickness. These numbers are a little deceiving because, again, as I said, when you round the sides, that changes things. For example, the VZs, if you were to take a string and wrap it around, the total circumference of the VZs is actually slimmer than the Hogues. It's slimmer than the factories as well, but for whatever reason, on the top, the VZs are thicker, which doesn't really work for me. Now, one thing that I want to show you about these VZs, and this is what I didn't like about them beyond the fact that the grip paneling didn't work, because it's cut too low. Very aggressive, awesome, like really awesome. This texture is actually better than the Piranha Grips, but again, it's not where I need it. Right here on the back, this is a completely square, and I'll tell you, man, when you grip the gun, these square portions just batter the shit out of your hand. So if I was going to keep these, I would basically just kind of file that down and cover it up with grip tape. It's debatable as to whether or not that's legal in production. I'll say it probably isn't, so maybe I wouldn't do it. But the production rules anyway for replaceable grip panels are basically a big clown shoes episode anyway. So probably wouldn't do it just to stay in the rules, which is why I'm getting rid of these, because I can't change them. But this is a no-go here for me. It just doesn't work. If you're a high volume shooter and you shoot a lot of rounds, this is going to batter the shit out of you, and it's not a happy day. So great product as far as, you know, the actual production of it. It's machined extremely well. The pattern is awesome. It's not where I want it. It doesn't extend up far enough. And VZ should really consider taking this portion down, changing their CNC code to kind of round this off, like the Hogues. Also, the Hogues come all the way back to this area here. These VZs do not. They're slightly forward, like the OEM grip panels. So between all of these are my stippled factory ones, which I did kind of round the back off and realized it wasn't production legal. Between all of these actually mirror the stock factory feel very well. The stock factory measured 135 on the caliper, and that's inches. These measured 137, okay? 137 and change, and then 135 at the top. So it's a very similar feel. But the one major difference here is that the edges are rounded off very well on the Hogue, so I dig it. And that's pretty much it for the grips.